Go. Aloha, and welcome to today's episode of Mystimon Saga, Wayfinder, The Hidden Archives. If you want to learn more about Mystimon Saga, you can check the link in the description below. I've been very lazy about the description. I know. Very lazy. I'm lazy.
Wait, I don't see a description below.
And that's the
There it
peanut
is.
gallery. So, today, I'm not the GM. It's Bifrost. So, Bifrost, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Excellent, and welcome, folks. So today is a slightly different day for us in that we will be telling the story from a different perspective, but I'm trying to keep it true to the spirit that I have seen so far in the game, and also to tell a story that fits what the Hidden Archives has often been about, which is investigating and finding solutions to strange problems. So that's what we're hoping to do tonight, and I am hoping that you enjoy this sojourn into a different style of storytelling. So I'll start things off. And I'll start it off at the Fox Hollow Ranch. It is a day that is full of the ordinary chaos that happens at Fox Hollow Ranch. There is lowing of Bytor outside. There is the cooking of foods. Kia has recently been brought into the ranch and found that it is a very wide open floor plan on the first floor. It's In fact, we can pull that up here, right? We can have the map for the Foxhole Ranch
Sure.
just to
Let
show
me
things, because I don't
give
think
me
Kia's been to
one
the
moment.
ranch yet.
Give me one
Wait,
moment.
we have a map of this place?
Wait,
Why
of
haven't
the
I seen it?
of the house, anyways.
Yep.
I've got to delete a bunch of tokens. Let's delete all tokens.
No problem.
And bring up combat tracker. Boom. 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 And you're a PC, you're a PC, and you're a PC. And I'm also going to add Ira.
Okay.
And Guai. Since I do have one job today, I run the two NPCs.
Seth will be maintaining the NPCs. That way I don't NPC myself in this process.
These two NPCs, anyways.
Yeah.
You've got other NPCs to deal with. Wait. Wrong.
Yeah, let's say that. Sure.
So, you're here. And you are here. And you are here. And now I'm going to share.
I'm on the couch, right?
You can
No.
put yourself on the couch if you want. So there you go. This is the main house of the Foxhole Ranch.
Just as a note, I'm assuming that our guests are seeing your view, GM Seth?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So, just a chance for Kia to see, because I don't think Kia's had a chance to see the ranch yet.
I need to go looking. Don't mind me.
And this is our this is the main floor of the ranch, and it's as stated, a wide open area. It has a central actual like running fountain. There is workspace and construction space. There's a place where brewing happens and cooking happens and food and eating, and it is a place with a lot of hustle and bustle on a regular day, and most folk tend to spend their time down here. On the floor above, there is a smallish library, a planning room, and all of the regular bedrooms, as well as a surprisingly well-stocked armory. And Kia, you as a newcomer were assigned a room that honestly Bifrost had been occupying for a period of time, but there's no bed in there, so we moved a bed in. Bifrost had been using it primarily as a place to set up things and do some writing and the like, but it was more because everyone expected everyone to have a room. And since Bifrost only does stasis for a period of, a couple of hours a day, they weren't really unhappy about moving to another location to do that stasis in. So you have a room, and the only other thing I should tell you is that the ranch has a minor problem with haunting. There is a ghost, as well as a Mystimon called Ghostar or Ghost Rider, that occupies this ranch, but the ghost is primarily friendly. We have wards up all over the house and outside on the lands as well to protect against a larger scale haunting that has not yet returned and will not for the purposes of this adventure today. But just to give you a little bit of a feel and a lay of the land here.
Cool.
Now, I go through all of that process only to tell you this is not where the adventure is going to be taking place.
Of course not.
But
Appreciate the guided tour.
Certainly. Well, I it's especially for players that haven't had the chance to be in yet in the ranch. It is worth taking the time to look around. It is a lovely place, and there was some nice effort given to craft the range. So it's worth actually exploring it a little bit. But soon enough, as is the way that things have gone recently, there is a call upon the general comstone in the ranch. And I'm curious as to who plans to answer it.
Tara put a finger on her nose and nut it.
Not it.
I don't think you want the NPCs answering it. Sure, Koi will answer it. This is going to go well. Hi.
Hello. I am trying to reach the hidden archives, and I was told to call at this number. And the connection seems kind of poor and staticky. The kind of connection that you get at a public comstone, not a personal held one that's used for public communication. So you're speaking with somebody who seems to be on some type of less quality enchanted stone.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the archives, but we're not very hidden. We're very well. We're you can find us.
I was told that the people here would help me with a problem. I'm actually not my problem. I'm calling on behalf of my lady who sent me here to call you.
Sure. What's your problem?
There's
Chloe,
hesitance.
is that a wrong number?
No, I don't think so. What's a number?
5. 5 is the number.
Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
You can hear in the background the woman is speaking to someone. It sounds like I am talking to a child. Are you sure this is the correct number? I was hoping to speak with investigators. There's another voice in the background that's saying, like, no, that's the contact. We can call Crystal and Calroon if we need to as well.
At this point, I will take the comstone from Koi and says, I'm sorry, Koi doesn't know what these things are.
Oh, your daughter is very kind to answer the phone for you. I am grateful. Are you an investigator?
Not my daughter, my girlfriend.
Felix quietly laughing off in the corner.
I see. I have been trying to reach the hidden archive, and I was told this is the number. Is there a better way for me to reach them?
Yeah,
I have only so much time on this device.
This is the right place.
Oh, I thank you then. I am contacting you on behalf of my lady Inari, who begs, if you can, to the intrepid adventurers, investigators of the hidden archive, that they may come and investigate here in the Quatrica Islands a matter that is of utmost importance to the family Inari.
Okay. At this point, Ira walks over to Felix and hands it to Felix. It says, here, I think you're probably better to answer this.
Only a little bit.
Okay. Hello. I have limited time. Is this a member of the Hidden Archives? One of the
Yes.
investigators?
Yes. That is correct.
Oh, good. I am calling on behalf of my lady Miyuki Inari, who sent me in hopes to um, ask for your assistance in investigating a familial matter of great importance. And I was informed that you were the best resources for dealing with matters that are not always um, easy to resolve, or matters that have strangeness to them.
Yeah, that... I can't think of anybody better suited for that kind of job.
Ah, then I am very grateful. Then I am calling you from the Magi Guard um, in Walla Walla, but that is not where I am. I need your assistance. My lady sent me here in hopes of bringing you back to our community, and and being able to introduce you so that you would be able to investigate things. Um, I am very sorry if my speech is awkward. I don't use these devices.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
I can
You're
keep up all
very
right.
kind. Excellent. I call. I am calling because my lady Inari needs your assistance, and she's pledged a sum of money to all the investigators that come, and she would also be grateful for your help in this familial matter. But I should inform you that I come from, not from Walla Walla, from the islands. There is an islet nearby, and I come from a community there that is, we keep to the old ways, and we have tried to retain our cultural ways of the past, in hopes that we can live in the simplicity of life that the old ways benefit us with. And so, if you do come, we would need you to avoid bringing more advanced technology, if possible, for your investigation. And I do not wish to hamper you. And if that is not acceptable, we will look elsewhere. But we were hoping that your skills would be sufficient without the need for modern technologies that perhaps are common elsewhere.
We should be able to accommodate such things.
I am told that you have some in your number who are artificial automatons, yes?
Yes. Yes. I think I know who you're talking about.
It is with humble regret that I ask that they not accompany you for this. It would be most distressing to our people. I know that in some places the technology is quite ancient, but it is not our way, and there are
I'm
many who
sure
would be
he'll
disturbed by that.
I'm sure he'll be a little disappointed, but also very understanding.
And
Okay.
Shibata will be very, very annoyed.
Report. He'll
Yes,
want
I'm
a
sure.
full report when we get back.
Okay.
Very detailed.
I am grateful for that.
You
Yes.
write the report.
All right.
Oh, that's
So-
what we're good at, Ira.
She actually puts a Magi guard on who directs you. As is familiar, the Quatrica Islands have a lot of different cultures, and the main island of Maona is where Walla Walla is. The general policy has been, when approaching the Quatrica Islands, they prefer that you don't fly across the islands. There are certain places that have that are willing to receive an airship, but they've generally asked that the skies be kept clear, and part of it is because of the cultural beliefs of the many diverse peoples of the islands, and so it is
the main
requested.
reason is to keep the is because the main government of the islands just simply want to keep the nature of the islands preserved.
Agreed. And so the request has been to when you come in to dock at the port, and the woman who you're speaking with has promised that she will take you via boat to the to her community, which is not on the main island, but actually on one of the small islets off of the main island. So, and with that and information from the Magi Guard, she also tells you that her lady has set aside a sum of 200 gold to be dispersed for investigators for timely resolution to this matter, and that there may be other gifts if things are resolved in a way which leads to a tranquil resolution, is the phrase that the woman uses.
Okay.
Okay, so on the mini map, I have zoomed into the area of Zalamba on the western area of Almana, and right across from there is the Quatrica Islands. It's a very long ways to travel, so Rune, better fly fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hang on to your butts or you'd be flying off.
Hang on to your butts. So, anything we're going to, Iris asks, anything we're going to need for this adventure? And Koi says, we need lots of flowers. And
You've got that covered.
yeah.
My
Iris
guess
says,
is there'll be plenty there too.
Iris says, indeed, you have lots of flowers already, and you can grow plenty.
Also, the islands are mostly of a tropical variety. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Similar to
they should
Hawaii.
be pretty lush, and you'll need to prepare for appropriate weather.
Yeah, the climate and the ecology of the islands is similar to Hawaii.
So I'm definitely leaving my dapper suit +1 at home.
You still have that.
I do still have that. Why would I get rid of it?
Well, I suppose Koi and Iris still have their dresses from that adventure. Anything else we'll need?
It's up to you guys. You the only thing that she specified is she wanted you to avoid bringing modern technology, which, for the purposes of what you guys have been doing, is any of the energy readers or the
Cameras.
equipment that yeah. Technically, your comstones would be more modern, but you may choose to just keep them there for the moment. But you guys aren't generally the kind of people that bring heavy equipment into a location, so that's pretty much what they're trying to avoid.
Okay.
The general feel is that this community itself is trying to live sort of an older lifestyle, a more
Kind of
traditional.
like the Amish.
Yeah, except with a more, say, Japanese flair.
Okay.
So, Kia, anything you think you'll need?
Is a crowbar technology?
I'm pretty tech. I think I'm good to go.
Tira, you good to go?
Yeah, I'm pretty low tech. I think I'm pretty good.
I said Tira.
Set. Sorry.
Well, just base stuff. No technology except for a crossbow. But technically, crossbow is not really high tech.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll load up the islands
I think
here.
we should be good gear-wise as far as meeting the constraint. Whether we have everything we need or not, who knows?
All
But
right.
that's what story points are for.
I have swapped the map over to the Quatrica Islands, and I'll link the particular map there in Discord. So, take us away.
So Rune grabs people, and Rune starts as she is wont to start, with a deceptively slow takeoff, and then followed by high acceleration. So if I can have everyone roll reflexes for me.
Oh no.
Oh dear gods.
I'm just keeping tradition at this point.
Yeah.
I do not do well.
No, Felix, there's a little bit of the falling and the barking of
How's
shins.
17? Probably not well.
No, I'm thinking like 20 to hold on, because that's Rune's take on things.
And Quoy, Quoy just falls.
So it's more bruised ego than anything else.
Quoy falls and Ira catches her.
Yeah, Tira has prepared. Tira anticipated everything about this, and Kia just happens to have good reflexes in general, insanely good reflexes, in fact.
Yeah.
So that helps a lot. But the passage is relatively ordinary. You pass through actually like a warm front at a certain point, so the moisture sort of starts to cling to you a lot sooner. Before you even see the islands, you're already experiencing a little bit of the warmth and the pressure and the mugginess, especially as Rune lowers closer to sea level, approaching the islands. Again, the protocol is generally to avoid, filling the sky or traveling in a way that would be visually unpleasant to people. And the last bit of it is actually a bit of maneuvering. If I'm correct, Walla Walla is not one of the larger cities, correct?
Yeah. It's a smaller town.
So it's a smaller town, and this is an unusual situation, but because this is the closest location, they are accepting a dock at port, and when ropes are cast down, they tie you on, and then people are able to sort of descend via ladder. And there are Magi Guard who keep an eye on the docks in general, and when they spot you, one of them approaches and asks if you're the representatives from the Wayfinder Society, and then they invite you to come along because they have the representative from Oizumi, which is the community that they're going to that you're going to be going to, and they escort you towards nearby Magi Guard barrack location. So just I'll put the names in there for you guys.
Okay.
So that's the name of the community that you'll be visiting. And it's on an adjacent island. So, and they bring you there, and the people of the Quatrica Islands have actually a very even in this town have a variety of different like fashion styles. And when you meet the woman who called you, who goes by the name of Coda, she is phenotypically very Quatrican, but she is wearing a lot of bound cloth. It's belted in a more formal outfit. It is simple but woven with a belt and a bow, and she bows when she greets you, but if anybody offers a hand, she doesn't take the hand. And she says she greets each person in turn, and then says, "My lady would be grateful if I can bring you to her. Are you ready for sea travel, or do you need time to acclimate first?"
So, Kwoi bows to her as well, and then asks, "Why are we bowing?"
It is the way of my people, and I am grateful that you have done so. Thank you. But she smiles, like broad grin at the question, and finds it pleasant to explain that.
Iris says, "I am sorry, Kwoi doesn't understand a lot of things. She doesn't understand a lot of things about the world at large."
I'm sure if Bifrost were here, he would be endeared by the curiosity and willingness to learn.
Oh, and this is, I do not know that name, but no, it is a pleasure. We do not have a lot of children in Oizumi, and so it is a pleasure to have an honest question, and to be able to share, because our culture is different. And she smiles, and then there's a bit of sadness. In fact, let me have everyone throw a bit of give me a perception check.
Where'd I put
30.
that?
19 plus 11.
Not paying attention.
No, you're not. That's okay. Yeah, the look is beyond most of you. Who is it that had the 30?
That was Ira.
Ira sees that there's a bit of there's regret, that it's not just a little bit of sadness, but this is the kind of thing that lurks in the face. The wrinkles all seem to fit this shape, and she seems truly regretful in this moment. And what that is, you'll eventually hopefully find out. So it's fleeting, and then it's gone, and then she She says, I can wait though, perhaps some tea or something to settle your nerves before we leave. It will be a little while on the water, and my boat. Um, I have a boat that I have commissioned. I came in a smaller boat, but for this number, we will need a larger boat. But that is already anticipated by my lady who sends me.
And Koi says, "Yay, boat!" Ara says, "I'm sorry. I'll try to keep her under control."
No. The enthusiasm is a pleasant surprise, and I'm grateful for it. So,
This is a slow boat.
What do you prefer to do, guys? Do you want to spend a little time here chatting first? Do you want to have some tea, or would you prefer to get going on this boat that they've prepared?
That's going to be quite kind of slow traveling across the water over to this islet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming it's this larger one off the peninsula.
Yes, and Oizumi is not exactly on the shore, but they do have a dock. They have like a little port that they've not even. It's more like an outpost with a dock there, and then there's a path to the village.
Okay, so where exactly on the islet is Oizumi? I'll add a pin.
I would place it sort of on the edge of the forest in the mountain, maybe about a third of the way on the bottom edge.
Okay.
So, I've got it zoomed in pretty big, and I would say not the first peak, but the second, but where the tree line is. So there'll be a path up.
Alrighty. Let's go with... I'll find a proper pin here.
Is that the little village that's out in the field near the forest?
Yeah, Walla Walla is the village in the field by the forest, and then right across the islet there is where Oizumi has been placed.
Okay.
Inland island or the outer island?
The outer island, not the one the one to the north, but the
not
one
the due north one, but the one up to the northeast.
Okay,
Right.
refresh it. Refresh it.
Aha! It is now there.
Yeah.
That's good.
Good enough. Yeah, I would honestly place it maybe a little to the left, but I'm not going to quibble over that.
Yep.
Perfect.
Well, Felix is only slightly antsy to get going, and could easily be talked into sticking around for a little bit by other party members.
Well, let's have a little introduction, have a little tea while we're here. Then we get on the boat and gather up some more information.
Okay. So, Lady Coda requests
Flower tea?
requests the parts of tea set, and when Koi offers, she says, "I have some of my own, but if you would like to, do you have tea of your own?"
Yeah!
So she gratefully receives whatever tea Koi is going to pass over.
Koi has actually made tea out of a blend of flower petals.
Okay. So she takes the tea and she sees that it's mostly flower petals, and she adds a bit from a pouch that she has, which is dried tea leaves, white tea leaves, and she actually spends, I'm not kidding you, a good half hour in the process of first grinding and then adding to a strainer, and then she proceeds to heat the water, and in the process, she makes small talk. So you guys are welcome to ask questions. She'll answer questions as she's making the tea. This seems to be a very formal kind of ceremony for her. The kind of practice that that she apparently does or has done quite a number of times, because she doesn't even have to look at things, and she's adjusting things, checking the temperature with the back of her hand, all sorts of things, and preparing the flower tea that Koya is given with a little bit of what she has as well. So any questions you've got now, she'll answer as best she can, and we can fill in more information as you wish.
So, may I ask a couple of things about your small community?
Certainly, yes.
How particularly small are we talking?
Walla Walla is very large in comparison.
Are we talking like 50 people? 150 people?
I think it might be between that. I think maybe close to 100. A few families and some settlers and fishermen and some woodworkers and people who just wanted to have a more traditional life, and then the family Inari.
Okay.
You say you had a couple questions. That sounds like one.
I'm ruminating. Don't mind me.
Yes, actually, she seems to take it all in stride. She's sort of humming to herself and tending to the tea. And I'm not going to stretch out the whole half hour, but
yeah, I was. Going
it is
to
a process.
Felix is ever so slight. Well, more than slightly. Kind of just like moderately fascinated by this process of tea making.
And then,
he's
at
familiar
a
with
point,
tea, but it's just like you just make tea and tea happens and it's tea. What's all this? What's all this about?
And she has she has here now a strainer, which is it's different. It seems to be a kind of wooden spoon with small holes in it, and she starts to pour the tea through the spoon, and she does it in stages for each cup, and then she takes the soaked leaves and she presses them, and then she proceeds to dunk them a series of times into the tea, and then she returns that to a tray, and then she carefully hands a cup to each person. And these cups, you can see the way she holds them. They're awkward to her. These are like regular mugs, like you're used to. But she doesn't hold the handle, and she keeps like switching from the rim to the bottom to the rim to the bottom, and she passes the cups around, and some of you, I'm assuming, take it by the actual like handle of the cup, and she like is caught by surprise for a moment, and then smiles and nods her head, and then passes it around, and even hands it to a couple of the Magi Guard who decided to hang around and watch the process too. And then she takes one cup for herself, which she kneels down on the ground, sort of sits on her heels and places it in her lap and smiles, and she waits. She doesn't touch it at all.
Okay, I'll be the first to take a sip.
So it's flower tea, but it's got like a little bit of body from the white tea leaves that she added. So, it's there's no milk, there's no sugar, It's leaf water, depending upon your personal desire for how much you like tea.
I'm fine. I don't like sugar anyways.
So and especially because it's Kwai's flower tea, it's going to have more of a it's not going to be as quite as bodied or as caffeinated as regular tea might be, but it's going to have a floral scent to it, and the floral scent actually, the pouring job that she did, the floral scent's everywhere in the room. It fills the room up. So apparently some part of that was for the scent of it, and that scent actually sort of takes over. So the whole room smells slightly of flowers now.
Yay, flowers!
I knew that was coming. Well, now that now that the whole process is over, Felix tries the tea and
I don't know if you've ever had a white tea. It's not quite the same as, say, a green tea. It doesn't have the same bitter notes. So it's kind of a light flavor. The flower petals will carry most of it in the scent. You'll keep getting the sense that you should have something that's very sweet, and then you taste it, and it's just very mild. There's a little bit of, for lack of a better term, umami to it, so it feels like there's a depth of flavor, but it's very, very subtle.
Well, I was simply going to go with the tea was definitely still too hot. So to stall for time, he's gonna ask the other question. That she had remarked that there aren't any children.
There are
a couple,
a small number, but not many families have had children since we've come to the island. It's the community is still growing.
How long have you all been there?
Go ahead, everyone, again, and roll perception for me.
Oh no.
19 from Ira. And
that almost was a 20 on
from,
the die.
28 from Kwai.
Kia and Kwai both pick up that there's like a falter, and she looks around and she says, after a while, I don't know that we measure the time the same way, but I have been there most of my life. But with small communities, there's only so much, that we have, and so as people join, they're a part of the community, and it feels as if they have been there forever. But not many people here in the mainland. Well, we don't really do visitors very often. And she smiles, and some of the Magi Guard look around, and they look kind of surprised at it, and they're showing deference to this woman, and they're giving her a space in their barracks to meet with you, but they don't. She's an outsider to them, and that their body language says that.
Okay.
I would not be worried. That is not the matter that Lady Inari is calling you to the island for. Her matter is a matter of family, though.
True, but it's best to understand the whole situation in things like these.
She says, and that sound is like a recognition, and it seems to her to mean like acceptance, whether or not she knows what you're saying. She accepts that there's wisdom in your statement.
I'm glad I phrased it well enough.
I am sure it is different in your place. You have young people here. Are your parents also investigators with the Wayfinders? She says to both Ira and Kwai.
Iris says, "Oh, perish the thought, please. If my mother was an investigator, I probably wouldn't be here."
Some must stay home to provide for the family. I understand. So you are an apprentice then.
No, my mother and I are estranged, to say the least.
She shows a look of sadness and says, by choice?
I don't know.
I do not mean to pry, and I do not wish to cause more pain.
And she turns to Kwai and says, "Unfortunately, her parents passed away a long time ago." And Kwai kind of looks down in sadness.
It is a burden for the young.
Now, Kwai is, at this point, like 18 or so. 18, 19.
Mm-hmm.
And Ira is about 17, 18.
And yet Kwai acts much younger, and so Coda has incorrectly assumed a younger age despite her physicality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that seems important to her either way. And so you are not family then, she says, and she looks over Felix and Kia and Tira and nods appreciatively, and she sees that you're all very different, but she doesn't seem to see that why that might be a problem, like why you guys couldn't be family or not.
I'm gonna do something maybe a little unorthodox and simply point out that not all family is related by blood.
That is very astute.
We have some who will take on a family member who is alone and bring them into their home, and I respect that. That is very honorable.
I got some questions. What kind of things or boundaries that we have to watch out for so we don't upset your community?
Oh, that is very wise. You are visitors, and we will understand that. You did not bring advanced technology, things that you plan to trade with my people, correct?
No.
So,
not that I know of.
If you have coin, you may hold on to it. Perhaps if you need to trade for goods or the like, you can request of Lady Inari a stipend, perhaps to make trade in our community. I would hope that you do not need to spend a long time. But if you need places to stay, you may stay in the household of Lady Inari, or you may stay with people in the village as your custom would allow. We do not have We are not of many different communities as you may be used to, but we do not have expectations of outsiders that we have of ourselves. There are strictures that are placed upon us that would not be on you, and for the most part, we would be grateful to have you as guests in our community. But there are no special boundaries unless Lady Inari sets them. When you are at her house, she will share more with you about what is allowable and the like. But I would anticipate, because she needs your help, that that there will not be many restrictions. She's hopeful that your skills will help her where her sight fails.
Well, we hope to be successful in our endeavors on your behalf. On behalf of your community.
Thank you, thank you. And she smiles and bows again, as if you've just made a pledge or a bond.
Ira asks, do you have any restrictions or any qualms about us? And she nods to Koi.
We are happy to have young people come, and if you are interested, we will teach you all that we can.
She's referring more to her relationship with Koi.
Oh, I got that as the GM, but as Coda is not getting what she's saying at all.
Ira says, no, I mean our relationship.
Oh, that you are good friends, or perhaps more. That is not a concern in our culture. It would not mean little ones normally, but we see that love can be expressed in many ways, and there is a beauty in that.
Thank you.
And she nods as if she's somehow given a gift. But she proceeds, after everyone's taken their first sip, to take a sip of the tea, and she smiles to Koi and says, "Your blend is unique, and the fragrance is very full. I have not had this before. It is a pleasure to share with you the tea."
And she says, "You're welcome."
I hope you will not mind. I would like to keep a few of the blossoms we did not use, perhaps to add to another tea in the future.
Sure. I have more.
That is good. Perhaps you can share this with Lady Inari when you see her.
Okay.
So, any other questions at all? She seems forthcoming.
Kia, you haven't said much.
I don't have any questions.
So you're from Atlantica, right?
Atlantia.
Atlantia. I apologize. And it's a different climate there. The woods are a lot more evergreen. In this area, there's the more of a tropical kind of feel.
Yeah, like palm trees and such.
But the island that you're going to actually will have a bit denser, a forested portion. So in that way, it'll be a different experience from what you're used to.
Okay.
Once it seems that most people have finished, She takes her cup with what little is left, and she swirls the little bit of water and what's left of the tea 3 times, and then looks at it, and she frowns, and then places the cup down, and then she looks to all of you and says, "Do you want me to look at your tea leaves to see if they bring you any specific messages?"
Roy says, "Okay."
I
So-
think I'll pass, and then proceeds to polish my cup.
Yeah. She waves to Quine and says, "Turn the liquid 3 times so that the tea leaves settle at the bottom, and then when you have done this, let it sit flat."
She follows the directions.
What shape do the leaves look like to you in the cup? Any answer is useful, but allow your imagination to see what your rational mind may wish to put to order.
And she says, like snowy snowflakes.
Snow.
Snowy snowflakes. She's referring to Ira. She's
Yes.
always calling Ira as snowy.
But she takes the word snow and she thinks. It is a time of change, and there will be things that you must let go. But understand that after the winter comes the spring and new growth. Do not be afraid of the change to come.
Okay. Like she says that like she didn't really understand it.
Yes, understood. And she looks to Tira, to Kia, to Ira. Do you wish for me to read your tea as well?
Yeah, after she's saying that as a show her and drink her tea.
So, and then she again, instructs anybody else that wishes to do that. Swish the water 3 times, and then look at the shape of the tea leaves at the bottom of your cup, and what do they look like? And then, if anybody else is doing it, that's fine. Otherwise, she then proceeds to take the cups, and she's about to go and walk outside, and the Magi Guard members here say, "Oh no, we can clean that up here." And she looks around. She says, "No, I must take them out to wash them." And she says, No, we'll take care of it. We have the means here within the house." And she nods and says, "Oh, okay, thank you." And she hands the cups over, and they go to wash them at the sink, which is something that she apparently doesn't do. So, just a little foretaste of the differences between the village and here. And then, as people are ready, she ushers you out, and at the port there is a pier, and at the end of the pier, a catamaran, a local kind of boat. It's got outrider pontoons. It's got a long main hull and masts that will put up a sail to sail across the water. It's a light vessel, but meant to carry many people, so you should all be able to fit reasonably on it. Is there a specific order? Is anybody here normally seasick? Anything else?
I guess I can take the lead onto the boat. I'm comfortable on the seas.
Excellent.
Does Kia
I'm
get
leaving that.
seasick?
I'm leaving that entirely up to you guys because it's not. There's not a, a fortitude roll here. You're going to be traveling over choppy waves at the beginning, and then it'll get pretty smooth. Once it gets out to the water and they put the full sails up, this thing is going to move quickly.
Anyone else get seasick?
Don't know yet. Don't know yet. We're rather rough freaking winds, but I'm not sure about the water.
Yeah. So, I mean, she is not in charge of this. There's a local sailor who runs the catamaran, and you see that there's an exchange of coins here, and she hands silver to him, and the silver has the local coinage is similar to what you've seen all over, and hers have like a they have a hole in the middle of the coins, but they take them as equal tender, and she takes her place in the boat, and she holds on to the mast, and then they maneuver out of the dock and out of the waters here, which are full of fishermen and the like. And once they've hit the main water, he goes from just the front sail to the full sails of the catamaran, and he maneuvers into the deep water and across this sound towards the island. And it does. It's a little while. It is passage, but the catamaran makes quick work of it. And at times, the speed of the catamaran is such that it almost seems to bounce on top of the waves rather than cutting through. It's not it's a very shallow boat with the pontoons giving a lot of the buoyancy to it. So it cuts the heat immensely. But anybody here who's not used to this and who hasn't covered up will note that they still will get a little bit of a sunburn before they make land. But as you cross across the sound, as you cross a bit of open sea and then towards the island, there's an island that stands with sort of sharp mountains and some greenery, beach. And as you approach, there is a bit of a wooden dock with a gate at land that rises with two posts, and then what looks to be almost like a slightly bent top post. A piece of wood, and all of it painted red, that implies sort of a curved roof over the gateway. And there is a woman standing at the dock wearing a much fancier version of the clothing that Coda is wearing. And she is waiting there patiently as the catamaran makes its way up. And for probably a half an hour, you see her just standing there at the gate, waiting as the catamaran makes its way closer and closer. Any last questions that you got with Coda? Feel free.
I think I'm good.
I'm also sufficiently. I feel like the basics we've got from Coda fairly well, but the actual why we're here was not fully left in the hands of the servant.
Seems like a fair assessment. Eventually, the catamaran pulls up to the quay. A rope is looped around one of the posts, and the thing is secured. And Coda gestures toward the dock and smiles and says, "My lady awaits you under the archway. You will be her personal guest here as you visit."
Very well. Thank you very much for your I'm having one of those moments where I forget the name of the word I'm looking for. Hospitality.
It was a pleasure to meet you all.
Everyone else coming?
Yep.
Yeah.
So climbing out is not difficult. The actual dock is a little higher than the boat right now, but there's a little bit of netting that's on the side of the dock to allow an easy climb up. And the weirdest thing is when you get off the boat for the first time, and the dock doesn't move, whereas you've been used to a surface underneath you that moves and then moves. And those of you that got a little bit of seasickness on the trip over, the good thing about going catamaran is that it's quick. The bad thing is when you get the sort of the reverse seasickness of when land doesn't roll and you're expecting it to, and that's the part that makes things seem that much more jarring. But quickly enough, the dock not moving, you're able to make your way towards the woman at the other end of the dock, and she smiles, and you note that Coda does not get off the catamaran with you. And in fact, she assists the sailor who came over with it in untying, and the woman at the end of the dock waves briefly to Coda and then to you and smiles warmly, and she gestures, "If you would, this way, please."
Alrighty.
I'll let someone else go first this time.
I'll just go follow.
Qualia and Ira will take up the rear.
So the Lady Inari stands at the end of the dock, just off of the dock on the land side of things, and she's young. She is maybe a couple of years older than the girls are, so early 20s, and her hair is short, dark. Her smile is wide. Her full clothing, what would in our world be, like a formal kimono, is wrapped around her. Dark peach colored overcovering, a lighter cloth, and then it has like a formal belt that ties everything together. And she stands there, gesturing towards you and smiling and waiting. And as you near, she bows. She inclines her head, mostly to the side. She doesn't bow as deeply as Coda did. She more of a nod of the head, but it's formal. And then she greets you all and says, "It is my pleasure to welcome the archivists." I believe that is the title I was given. You are the archivists, or do you have a different name for yourselves?
I don't know if I've ever heard that we've had a name.
Yeah,
Tira
come
is
there.
the longest standing member present here.
Great. Thanks for throwing me under the bus. Anyhow, the group the company that we work with is called the Hidden Archives, but we're attached to, what was it again? Pathfinder or something.
The Wayfinder Society?
Wayfinder Society.
Yeah, Wayfinder Society. We're attachment to the Wayfinder Society. But as a group here, you can call it the Hidden Archives or just call it Archives or whatever. That suits it.
It is my pleasure to welcome you then. This will be something new to add to your archives, I imagine. And she smiles and she says, my name is Miyuki Inari, and I'm sure that when you spoke with Koda, she may have used my title. But that is a way, it is an old way of greeting, and I do not wish you to be concerned with titles. So please feel free to use my name to call me Miyuki. Some in our community may also use another title. They may call me Inari-sama, but or Lady Inari, but it is a formality, and one that is it is for respect, but it can also be sometimes a burden. And I would be glad not to have this burden with you.
Honorifics.
Indeed. In my mind, though, the only one that title truly belongs to is my grandmother, and when you meet her, you will see, I am sure.
Very well. Will she be the one explaining what caused a request for our presence?
I would prefer the right to share that with you myself, if you would be willing. I do not know that my grandmother will. You will have a chance to meet with her, but she might not be so happy with me that I have made this decision, and it will be my burden to bear, just as it is Koda's burden to remain with those in Walla Walla. And she nods, and you see that the catamaran is actually pulling away now, and Koda is returning with the sailor in the catamaran. Please do not worry. I can send message when it is time for you to depart, and the distance from here to the villages is enough that they will have the boat here by the time it is time for you to leave. It is not so difficult a passage.
It's not something that worries me.
We
She
travel
smiles.
to a lot more worse places.
I am hoping this will be a place that is a pleasure for you and not difficulty. And I hope that as you help my family, that you will also be able to bring back good tales to your archives of the village of Oizumi. But she gestures, and there's a long path that leads away from here and up into the forest and then beyond, and you can only barely see maybe a little bit of reflection, maybe partway up the mountainside in the distance of what might be like glass, but it's hard to see from here exactly where the village is.
Well, looks like we'd better get started.
It is a bit of a walk, and at first you think that she might have like some kind of difficulty, and then you realize that to some degree the clothing that she's wearing restricts her walking speed a little bit. So it is a little more leisurely a walk than you might normally make on a trek like this. But that's not a problem because she explains to you that she's asked you to come here because her mother has gone missing and she needs your help to find her.
Well, first things first. Where you last seen her and when?
Um, she has been gone for about a week, and she was in our home, and there was. We are a tight family. My grandmother, my mother, and I. Um, we have been. We were the founders of Oizumi. My grandmother, whose dream it was um, to find and set a community that would preserve the ways of her youth, the ways of our people, and the many things that um, we treasured in in that way of life. And so she felt that this would be a good setting and a good location for us um, to make that dream a reality. And so our family came here, my grandmother and my mother, um, and they set about trying to make Oizumi work. And it has not been easy. There have been times of difficulty. We had to ask many people to volunteer to come here and to let go of the more formal ways of life that they were used to, and to return to an older way of doing things. And it takes a certain kind of person who is willing to embrace and rediscover the ways of doing things that our ancestors lived with. And it has it has been some time, and we are still trying to grow it. And it is difficult to find new people who are willing to live this way and to let things go, um, and who are willing to embrace this way of life. So our community is small, um, but it is, I would like to say, a community that we all know each other and we care about each other. And when there are fights, everyone knows about it. And when there is difficulty, everyone knows about it. When there are mistakes, everyone knows about it. Um, but perhaps there is something good in that too.
I can certainly see both sides of that coin.
So, you spoke of your grandmother and your mother. What of your father?
Um, my father has been gone for some time. Um, I mostly knew him as a child, um, but he he passed away on the sea, and she looks a little shy, a little embarrassed, and she says, "You notice, I'm sure, that I didn't go out on the dock."
Let's see.
I thought it was merely a formality from your station that kept you from meeting us at the dock.
I will be honest that I am embarrassed that the sea scares me sometimes. Traveling on the sea as you did is beyond me. Coda braved the ocean, and I have great admiration for her. But I could not go out there myself, having lost him that way. For some reason, it is foolish, and I feel embarrassed that it holds such power over me. And I believe my mother would probably rebuke me and tell me that this is a foolish fear. But I have not learned to let it go yet.
Ira says that, she says, I think, and she nods to Ikoi. Ikoi's kind of shy about this. She said, and Ira says her parents passed away in a fire of some sort. She hasn't really told me the whole story, but I do know that fire is involved, and to this day, she is afraid of fire.
So, Miyumi stops and Miyuki stops, and she offers a hand to Kwai. And it's a small hand. It's actually probably slightly smaller than Kwai's hand is, but she offers it to her nonetheless.
She takes it kind of nervously.
And it feels for Kwai very delicate, and the skin is very smooth. And she squeezes Kwai's hand briefly and says, if I have brought you a painful remembrance, I apologize, but I would hope that perhaps you will forgive me for this. I am grateful that you joined us, and I will do my best to keep you away from anything that would bring you fear. We don't. Our homes are fragile things, and we use paper in place of thicker materials. So fire is something that we are very careful with in our community. I would expect that you will find it a very pleasant place to stay without much difficulty.
Okay.
And she smiles, hopefully reassuringly, and then lets go of her hand and continues on the walk.
And Ira gives her an embrace.
So, a week ago, my mother disappeared, and it set my grandmother for a turn. She is older, but since my mother left, she has taken it very hard. She's been in bed the last couple days, and the longer that my mother is gone, the more my grandmother seems to be getting ill, and it makes me anxious. That my mother is gone in our community with really no way to leave. That is a surprise to us, but I don't want to be um, without both my mother and my grandmother. And so I am grateful that you could come, and hopefully you will be able to find my mother and return her. And perhaps this will raise my grandmother's health and her spirits, and we can be together again.
Oh, well, we should. Well, for one. So, has there been any discontent or ill feeling towards your mother in the village? Any disagreements with anyone?
She she shakes her head, and she looks to all of you and says, it is embarrassing. They treat us um, they treat us like we are people of importance. We did found the community, but we have no title. We do not have any real station, and yet um, this title of lady, it sticks to us, and we cannot shrug it off. Um, it is it has been, in my experience, more of a burden than a gift. If there's a decision to be made, they always bring it to our household. If there is a problem, they that cannot be dealt with one within a family, then it is brought to us to resolve. And with my grandmother and my mother not in a state of being able to help when we come through, I mean, you will see. But no one has had. She pauses. No one has had a problem with my mother in the rest of the village. No. You're
Why do you
midway within
pause?
the. Uh, are you asking, or are you?
I'm asking her, though, why do you pause? Or you just think things through to make sure you're not getting given bad information? Or there's something you're hiding?
I I wish for you to be able to find my mother, so I I don't want to give you a false impression. Our community is not perfect. There are arguments. There are times when we've had to make decisions that not everyone appreciates. If a person does not agree with the decisions of the community, though, we can call for the we can call for a boat. They can return to the mainland. Um, we don't control um, things. We are not uh, magistrates or people with power. But she looks to you, Tira, actually, and says, "Can you tell me that you have never had an argument with your mother?"
I can't recall. I don't even remember her face.
Um, she looks shocked. You cannot remember her face. Surely you do not look like her.
I don't know.
I am sorry if I have asked a question that is forbidden. And
It's
then
okay.
she looks to Kia. Have you never had an argument with your mother?
Oh, my mother isn't always missing, so did you have an argument? Is that why related?
No, I mean, we do not always agree. Sometimes there are foolish things, sometimes we don't agree on what to eat for supper or what tasks must be done about the house, or who will need to clean out the different rooms, or who has to go and sweep the shrine, or any of these things. They're simple things. It's not with me per se, but my mother and my grandmother have had some words. They don't do it when I'm around. They prefer not to. I think they are afraid of bringing me in on things that don't have anything to do with me. But when they're in disagreement, the whole household, it becomes tense. It becomes uncomfortable. But mothers and daughters, they don't. These things, they do not lead to people disappearing. And I think that is just a normal thing that happens.
Now Ira's the one who's quiet.
So, so obviously this absence is unusual. Otherwise, you wouldn't have contacted us. But has your mother does she ever go anywhere? Did she take any trips?
No, we stay within the community. There's plenty usually for us to do there. I mean, we have a nice home, but we must still, provide for our means and prepare things for trade. And when it's time, we bring things down to the dock for sail to the main island. And sometimes there are visitors. It's not common yet. We would actually be very welcoming of more visitors, bringing coin and the like. That would be useful for us to purchase new materials. We have plenty of good wood here, and she points to the trees as you make your way into the forested areas, and as the path starts to cut back and forth as it makes its way up the elevation. And there are fruits, and there are things that we make. There's not a lot of we do not have mines, so we have to craft things. And there's a technique of lacquering that we do that many people on the mainland seem to find appealing. So there are some goods. If you are interested in anything, your coin, we are willing to offer you coin for your task, but you can purchase things, and I don't have the ability to do an easy exchange, but I'm sure if there are things that you need, we can help provide some, and maybe even you can take some back with you.
Can I just do a quick insight check? I just use kind of
Go for it. Perception is a good call.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, my mother's missing, but also, have you seen our local wares?
This seems like a thing that she's very comfortable doing. It's like talking about the family struggles are uncomfortable for her. Talking about, tourism and trade, that seems to be a thing she's much more comfortable doing. Okay. So it seems like she's sort of reverting to things that are comfortable to talk about. Anybody else that wants to roll a perception check to see if they pick up anything? If you're looking for something in specific, I can give you more specific information.
Tara's kind of a little off-put a little bit because that question about her mother and She's now thinking about it, so she's gonna be distracted by that.
Yeah, and it seems like Miyuki is always around her mother and her grandmother. It seems like that's a relationship that is constant for them. Um, so this seems to be one of those situations where she is kind of like clueless about the way things are in other communities.
So, okay. So, well, if we rule out that she might have left her own accord and maybe just got.
Well, I mean,
Just
she
other.
might have very much left by her own accord, but if so, on an island that's, as you can tell, doesn't have its own shipping fleet,
Yeah. I was
that's
going to ask.
tricky.
Are there any local sites of significance or that might be found, or maybe even dangerous animals or sort of other fauna that might be around?
I mean, she gestures around. She says, um, "There are some larger creatures in the mountains. There are we have some species of goat. There are
Do I need to
deer.
bring up the bestiary now?
And there are a number of birds. This island does not have a lot of large animals beyond that. Although there are some bears, I am told, to the north.
so,
But
I'll stop you right there.
please,
Grizzlies and other types of bear Mystimon do not exist anywhere on the Quatrica Islands. They are
I
not
figured
native
that wouldn't
to
be so
this
common here.
region. And goats would be something like Ramulus. There is some other kinds, but Ramulus is the main one that comes to mind right now.
I would think mostly like larger birds, some raptors. I'm sure.
Yeah.
This type of island. The only other thing that would be kind of a common predator that there are fox. There might be some wolves.
Yeah, there are some owloons. Let me 1 second. So there are some hummers here. Voltores, Sparrows, owloons, eagle eyes, ariors, uroks, those types of things. As for a wind color Mystimon.
And then, like as I said, like fox or wolves. So what would we have for something like that?
So wolves would be like Balthros. Balthros are all over the place in different
More
colors.
to the north, I would imagine, in this island.
And
the southern half is a little more. It's been hunted as well, so not quite as good for prey in this area.
And for fox type Mystimon, they're Ikunai.
So you guys have some answers. So yeah, not a lot of large predators. I mean, again, wolves can do something like that, but she doesn't seem to think that it's likely.
Okay. What about any just strange happenings in the village? Any sort of talk of strange sightings? Anything out of the usual?
She pauses. She thinks about it for a while. We've had no talk about the kami here in a while, but I mean, our stories are always about them, about the various spirits and how they might try and influence our lives. But there's but the one shrine, which is on my ancestral land, and that is it is a simple place. There are small thefts once in a while. We don't know who in the community, but should we find that person, there will be appropriate justice, certainly. Nothing is perfect, but our problems are simple problems.
Well, I don't think I have any more questions right now. May have more once we get it.
Certainly,
Once we
and
get to the
I will.
shrine, have a look around.
When we get to the house, I will. You can search her room. You can talk to my grandmother if you wish. Perhaps she will share with you things that she would not be willing to share with me. And that look, she pauses and looks at you all. And go ahead, everyone, again, give me another perception check.
$21 and 16.
All right. She looks at you meaningfully, but what that meaning is, not so clear.
Felix.
So Felix gives me a
point.
29. Yeah, she looks kind of desperate. She's like this is. She is hoping that you guys can get the grandmother to talk with you, because she can't seem to do that. That's what you get from her. That she is absolutely confused, and she thinks her grandmother has the answer, and that that hopefully you guys can get that to happen. And I'll add, because a 29 is a really good roll, I will add that she also seems pretty sure that calling you guys here is going to get her in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, Ty looks at ours. Well, something like that.
Sorry about that. Just accidentally copied your numbers there. All right, so so the rest of the passage up is polite, and she points out some of the different types of trees and the flowers. And as Kwai is looking at flowers, she points out a number of them and gives names, and is generally a good hostess. And as you start to approach the outskirts of the village, now is the time I would like to use the first village picture, if you can, Seth. So that's the one that the title was SOC Village 1. There you go.
There we go.
So there you go. So as you're making your way up into the village, it's built. You can see, wood and paper in the construction of these places. And in many of the places, there's banners or papers hanging, as well as in some of the rafters, you also see fish. And there are people, out working. There are people who are carrying buckets. There are people who are bringing in some fish and hanging them. There's a hunter who's bringing in some birds and hanging them from the rafters as well. And people are mostly out in the street and talking. And as they see Miyuki, there's smiles on their face, and they look to you guys, and the smiles, like, they pause, and then they get like a little, like, kind of intense, like, oh, look, it's guests. and they nod, and they keep a polite distance and continue about their day, but a number of people, as you pass by, make the statement, Miyuki-sama or Inari-sama or Lady Inari. Some of them like catch it and then stop, and then they use Lady Inari or Lady Miyuki as she goes by. But again, that sort of formality as you're making your way through the village proper. And the people, they're much more simply clad. Nobody's wearing the formal robe like she is. Pants, shirts, for most people. Ladies often wearing either pants or skirts, work clothing. Most of it seems to be woven locally. And there are people talking and nodding and going about business, but it seems to be normal. And you don't see a lot of children here and there. You see some people that look younger and some people that look older, but you're not actually seeing any children offhand. Although, again, another perception roll for everyone.
28. 14.
Wow, look at that. All right, so Felix, Kia, and 28 would be who?
Ira.
So you all hear giggling somewhere nearby, like a young girl is giggling somewhere. And it's not exactly clear. Your roll is high enough that you, in the midst of the hubbub and the chatter and the like, you hear a giggling girl, but that's about it. So there is some child nearby. But you continue to walk through the community, and anything that you want to do, or you just continue towards the main house? Everyone's really weirded out by a seemingly normal village.
I'm not used to it, just to feel the tension in the air. The tension in the air feels different than what's actually seeing.
Mm-hmm. So at some point, a person comes up and she's carrying a basket, and inside you see a variety of bamboo that's been cut, and it's been sort of pared down. The hard edges are pared down so you can see the soft flesh inside. And she approaches Miyuki and says, Lady Inaris, do you wish for me to send some of this up? It is freshly cut and would make a fine soup if you wish. I can also look to send some things up to your house if you have guests. And she looks and says, that would be acceptable, yes. She looks to the rest of you. Do you have an issue with eating any of the flesh, birds or fish? Is that offensive to you?
Felix says, "Oh, we don't need to be pandered over."
She nods. It is. Hospitality is important to us, and I am reminded. Thank you. And she smiles to the villager who came up to her. Do you have a problem with with eating of meat, is that offensive to you? She looks to you.
I have no problem with it.
Ira shakes her head. The Kwai is vegetarian.
Mm.
It doesn't mean she have to eat the meat. She can eat the other stuff.
Broth for my grandmother would be wise. Perhaps some of the fish and yes, the bamboo and some other greens, and perhaps we will make a fine soup to share. And that can be a simple meal, unless you have brought food with you.
I'd rather have something fresh because I'm sick of rations.
Certainly, anything here. If you wish to have some of that, we can bring some of it with. I will make purchases. I'm grateful, and she nods. And
Felix says, "Well,
she
I
takes a
have no
purse out.
qualms beyond being treated so well."
and she is she smiles at that, and she proceeds to go about and make some purchases, and then direct people to send them to her home. And you see some baskets being put together, not a lot, but a couple of baskets are put together to be brought up to the manor house. And so some people sort of make their way up the road that you're traveling along, and you get the sense that there's not too many roads here, that the same road just sort of winds around. So anything that you point to, though, Tira, is something that they will add to the basket to bring up. So if you want any of the fish or one of the birds or the like, they will add it in.
I feel like fish tonight.
Okay, so the fishes, there are a number of fish hanging. Some of them are dried, some of them are salted, and some of them are fresh. So whatever you select is something that they will set to be brought to the house to cook. Kia, anything in specific for you?
None in particular.
Okay. So the road does wind its way up, and you see some of the sections of the hillside have been cleared away for some light agriculture, stuff that can be done on tiers. There isn't enough space here to do like large scale farming, but they can do small scale farming for vegetables and the like. I can see that Felix is in fact enjoying some fresh fish right now too. So, but they, as you pass through, there are many people that are, sitting here. They're working, and you see it's not easy work. It's hard work. A lot of the people are spending much of the day just, picking through things and pulling stones out of growing areas, and weaving or cutting things or preparing things. Or there's a man who's working wood to create a wheel. There's just a lot of busy work, and you see 3 dozen, maybe 4 dozen people as you're making your way through, all out there. A little less than the number that Miyuki said was in this area. Or no, you asked Coda. That Coda said was in the area, but easily, so many people out here doing things that you have a sense, there's got to be people in the houses too. And for those of you that rolled pretty high, the laughter is still somewhere nearby. So someone is like running through like behind the houses or something and continuing to play. But that's still going on in the background. All right. So, GM Seth, if you would be so kind, the second picture that I have, the one that's the home picture, if you could add that in.
SOC home?
Yep.
Okay.
Nope, it doesn't like that one.
Well, it's up for me, and does everyone else see it?
It loaded now.
I see it.
Yeah, I
just
see
fine.
it. With a green border?
Yeah.
Eventually, winding back and forth, you come across a larger building. There's a smaller, like 4 building, and then there's a larger, sort of more formal structure in the back. And this is, in effect, the house that Lady Inara is leading you to. Inara is leading you to. She goes up to the first house, and you see a couple of people outside, a man and a woman, and they have been taking the baskets that were brought up here, and they are in the process of unloading them. And she talks with them about the preparation of a soup for her mother and for the guests, as well as the preparation for the fish that have been brought. And she directs them through, what she's hoping for, and then she turns to you all and says, "So, welcome. This is these buildings are my home. This building here is where many of the work of the day happens." And she points to the darker building with the roofs, and the roof, the tiled roof, and then the secondary building she points to that it has sort of the lighter structure. She says, and that is the house that I share with my mother and with my grandmother. Um, and if you would like, we can go inside, and we can either wait for the meal to be prepared, or if you would like to look about, you can begin your investigation right away, whatever is convenient for you.
So I'll be right back, sorry.
No problem. Also noting it's about 11:20 right now, so obviously my timing is off. So we will most likely have to continue not next Saturday, but the Saturday after. But my anticipation would be we'll go for another 30 to 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Unless people need more time.
Okay. Where's her mother's room?
She nods as if the question is answered best by action, and she leads you into the secondary building. And this room has like a finer wooden floor, and the walls are not actually like wooden walls, but they're separated primarily by paper walls. And so she shows you the mechanism of the sliding doors, and she points to the first one and says, "This is where my room is," and then she walks to right across from it, and she points to the sliding door for the second room and says, "And this is the room, my mother's room, and my grandmother's room is on the other side." And she points, and then there's another room, and then there's like a back like storage closet area, and then there's a couple of windows here and there.
Oh yeah, before going in the house, I make sure I take my boots off.
That's the good thing is, as you start taking your boots off, and you'll note that she had sandals on and takes them off immediately just inside the door. You also, by taking your boots off right there, you also realize that the floor is elevated by about like a good 4 inches off of the regular ground. And then actually at the door, there's like a little bit of an extra bump, like it's the doorway itself is open, and it's a step over, and then the floor is just a little below, but it's still above the ground. And she, as you're doing that, she mentions to everyone to watch your step.
Yeah, I saw that little lip before when I was taking my boots off.
And she says it's a superstition. We have a belief that the kami, those that have evil intentions, that they always float above the ground, but only by an inch. But they cannot step, so they are trapped by these types of barriers. And she points to the little lip at the bottom. You'll see that in many of our places we have a little lip to hold the spirits out or in. Not that we are really serious. It is I think a superstition.
Well, even though superstition is still part of the culture.
It is true, she says, and she ducks her head in acknowledgement. Yeah, I mean it's the kind of thing where if you're not paying attention, you'll stub your toe. And each of the doors for the rooms will also have that little lip that's there to catch a spirit and prevent it from getting in or out. So if somehow a spirit gets into the room, it's also trapped in there.
Okay, just kind of structural. It's kind of make it easy for us.
It's a ghost trap.
Yeah, the whole
Yeah.
place is filled with little ghost traps. At least that's what they're saying. That spirit to them, the kami is a little more generic. It doesn't have to be like the ghosts of the dead. It can be all sorts of other little spirits too. So they would include things that we think of as like the fae or other types of things. And I know in this setting there are a variety of different types of things that that fall under.
Fae is the elves.
Right. But to these people, those all of the kami are any kind of strange spiritual force. So anything from horrible spirits to the dead to anything else can
elemental
be kami.
spirits, necro spirits, and
Right.
undead.
And it's a catch-all term, and most of it is just plain old superstition. So anybody that's deciding to go into the mother's room, the door slides on a little rail, and then as you go in, feel free to tell me. You can do regular perception, but if you have specific things you're looking for, specific things you would like to investigate, you can direct me with that, and I can give you more specific information.
Okay, how high is the foundation from the ground?
Well, you're standing on a wooden floor. You don't know if there's like a stone foundation underneath, but it's like 3 to 4 inches up from the regular ground, and then that lip is an extra inch above.
It's a small pier block, right?
Yeah, but it's quite possible that that under the wood, it could be that it's got another foundation beneath. You can't really tell. The wood comes locally, and it has been lacquered actually. So this is a very smooth, very polished kind of wood that's underfoot.
Alright, I'm just gonna look at the floor more clearly, see if I see like a break or it might be a trap door or something.
Sure, go ahead. You can search around for in the main hallway or in the mother's room.
I think I overlooked a little too much, but I'm going to Spirit Hero.
Yeah, and actually, we've been in this for quite a while, and you guys have been playing along very nicely. I'm going to give everyone a story point to recognize, the fact that you've all been playing along anyway.
Yeah.
You don't see anything that looks out of place, no trapdoors or anything in this room or into the mother's room. Mother's room, by the way, has a simple. Much of the ground has like a variety of like woven reed mats. There is a mattress that's laid out with a round pillow and some regular cloth on it. There are some books and like bowls and other things. It honestly looks like it doesn't look like somebody packed up. There are some folded clothing.
Yeah, so generally the the bed should be rolled up if it's not being occupied.
Yeah, it's been laid out.
It's been untouched since last year.
Are you asking or just observing?
Just observing.
Okay. Anybody else looking for anything in particular? Dream, you looking for something?
Yeah. What would be a good idea to look for? That's a week ago. So...
Oh, by the way, by the picture, is the forest actually near the house?
Yeah, actually, the back window shows that there's there's a little bit of a clearing behind, but otherwise, yes, the forest is almost up against the house, and then above that, the peak of the main mountain that everything is sort of built on. It wove its way around, so you're actually above the section of the town that you came into. If you look out that front area, you can look down the slope, and there's houses and other places in front.
I'm going to ask our host, because I forgot her name.
Miyuki?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Going to ask her, I have a question. Does your mother happen to have your family have a history of sleepwalking?
She scratches her head and says, I've heard of it, but I don't think so. I don't know. It would not be so. I mean, you would walk right into the screens. It would break the doors. I don't think so, but I don't know.
You don't have to walk to a wall or door or whatnot. You're still asleep, even though you're still aware. But once you're walking up, you're going to freak out.
She nods her head and she says, "You know more about this than I do, then."
Felix,
you were looking around for things in the room to try and understand who she is. So there are a number of books here, and like there's some cups, maybe small bowls. There's the ash of something that smells kind of fragrant in like a wooden container, but that doesn't make a lot of sense. Why would you burn something in a wooden container? That seems odd. There is the books, when you look at them, they're written in old script. What languages do you have? And Dream, you were looking for something in specific too, yes?
Yeah, first I was gonna ask, are we still hearing this kid's laughter, or is that stopped as we've got into the house?
It stopped near the house, yes. So, okay. I mean, theoretically, if you look down that slope, you might hope to see the child that was running around and playing.
Yeah, I think have a look around, depending on sort of how sort of out of the sort of main sort of village is this house? Like, is it just on the outskirts, or is it sort of a bit of a walk away?
I mean, if you look down that hillside, you see much of the rest of the village. When you were coming up here, there was maybe 30, 40 feet of a bit of that curving road that leads up to here. So it's separated up enough that it's clear people, sort of see this as a separate place. Nobody's set up housing near there. But it's not so very far away that, you can literally look out and down the slope into the rest of the village.
So how When did we lose sort of the laughter? Was it sorry as soon as we sort of like out of the sort of the kind of town proper, or did it sort
Yeah,
of follow us into the show?
that's virtually accurate. In fact, Kia has such a high normal perception that that's exactly what that she'd pick up on. Is as soon as you left it, it's like the laughter sort of died away there. So
Okay. Probably long gone then. So I think what I might have to do, like, obviously a week is a long time for traffic coming in out the main trail, but
yeah,
there might be tracks sort of in the forest if there's less traffic there. If someone just sort of walked into the woods, so Kia's going to do sort of a half lap through the sort of the woods towards the back of the house to.
So there is a door out of the back of the house to that clearing behind. And as you make your way that way, Miyuki sort of stops you for a second, and she leads you to the window and says, out in the back is the shrine. And GM Seth, if I can have you share private shrine.
Okay. 1 second.
Sorry about that.
There.
Excellent. So out the back, you see, a bit of curated greenery, a tree, an arch, one of those stone arches, not unlike the one that you saw at the pier, and then another house behind, or structure of the like. And she points and she says, "That is our family shrine, and I would ask, at least until you've talked with grandmother, I would ask that you not go out there right now. If you wish to look out the front or around, but please don't go back there. It is our personal place, and I would not wish to anger my grandmother any more than she might be angry with me already."
By the way, Felix says that the only old language he knows is Ancient Almanen. Quatrica anything isn't in Felix's wheelhouse. He knows Almanen, Ancient Almanen, Common, Draken, and Viking.
So Quatrican is a language that's actually got like different structures to it, and a lot of it's a bunch of different cultures in this area that have sort of mixed to some degree. And what you're looking at is, it looks like some of the lettering in that you saw in the town before, but this looks old and formal, like it's an older version of Quatrican that's different than what you've seen before. So, Dream, if you want to do some investigation at the adjacent, like, forest area, but she's asking you to stay out of the back for now.
I will do that, but I actually did just have a thought as well.
Go for
when
it.
we came here, did Miyuki take off her shoes for coming inside?
Yes,
Yes.
but she came inside and then left her sandals by the door.
Yeah. So I'd like to have a look, see if there's sort of a pair of sandals that might fit, or be more of an older woman's style. You know what I mean? If there's...
So, good call on that one. Go ahead and give me a perception just to check out all the nice little details of the family household and the like. Wonderful. You are a master of perception, after all. So, you do see her shoes. You see another pair of sandals that seem like a little extra soft and leathery. And you see an empty little cubby next to both of them. So there's these little boxes right by the doorway, and that one doesn't have shoes in it at all. So you're pretty sure that her mother took her shoes. So that's good evidence potentially that she's not in the house right now.
Yes. So
So
all of
that
that,
is
she'll still go have a look around the sort of the adjacent forest. Like she'll respect the request to leave the shrine alone, but she will.
and I'll carry over the perception roll just for that too. So you look around and it looks pretty natural. There's not a lot of foot traffic. You do find that there's an outhouse behind the main cooking area, and that has a lot of foot traffic back and forth. Um, there actually it looks like that main house may actually have a couple people that live in it. So perhaps the man and woman that greeted Miyuki live there. Perhaps not necessarily servants, but people who live on the property. And you do see that you see the footprints of a couple different varieties of Mystimon. Some are hoofed, like ungulates, like deer, and others pawed. And you see a number of paws, but not big ball throw style paws, smaller things, larger than a cat. So probably the fox-like Mystimon that you see. This Ikune is apparently pretty common here in this area.
And the deer would be a servant coon.
So, both of those seem pretty common around the property there, but you don't see anything past like where the outhouse is.
Okay. Well,
But it was a really good.
check.
That's a good move. So, Felix, there are a lot of different books in here, and they're written, and most of them are handwritten. There are some books that have pictures in them, and those books seem to be primarily like books that show like farming or like constructing water wheels and stuff like that. So those you were able to put like 3 or 4 into stuff that's like how to do things, and then there's some that are just full of like pictures of birds or flowers from the area. And whether that's just like manuals on the area or what those are, it's not clear. And then there's some that are just handwritten and there's no pictures whatsoever.
Okay. It might be a waste to use this, but I have it.
And you might as well.
And I might as well. So I choose the newest looking handwritten book.
Yep.
And I use my Eldritch Researcher feat Strange Script. Once per day, you can touch a single text and understand its meaning for an hour.
Fantastic.
So here's hoping it's some sort of diary or journal.
It is some sort of diary or journal.
All right.
You have found a diary or journal written by Miyuki's mother. And it says understand, right?
Understand.
Is that a word for word? What is the exact language? Just so I can be sure.
If the text is in multiple languages, you gain the ability to understand all of them only for the purposes of reading the text.
Okay.
If the text is in a code or cipher, you don't automatically understand it, but gain a +2 circumstance bonuses to decipher the code.
And how long does this last?
It lasts for 1 hour.
Well, you have access to her mother's journal for an hour.
Okay.
Very nice.
All right.
As long as you don't read certain things out loud.
Yeah.
I mean,
so,
I have a tendency to do that.
Yes, and a few other things.
so you can read the journal. It's long. It's probably more than you'd be able to read in a full hour. But
I'll start near the end, but not
good call.
all the way at the end.
Okay.
So like something that looks like it's from a few weeks to a month ago.
So one of the things you learn is that her mother is not a really good regular journalist.
Okay.
She's maintained this journal for years, but it's sporadic. Like she writes about stuff and then she leaves off for a while, and then she writes about stuff and leaves off for a while. So
3 entries over the span of a week, followed by 6 months of nothing.
sometimes, and then sometimes it's like 2 weeks worth of like doing things religiously, and they get shorter and shorter, and then she leaves off, and then she writes again.
Okay.
So the good thing is she's written stuff for the last like 3 weeks, but it's been like a couple days here and there in between. And
all right.
you do get like the last couple weeks she's been talking about how there's some difficulties, how the community is not growing, the techniques they're using are good, but that there have been difficulties in getting people to stay, and the restrictions have been hard on people. She talks about how the she's been reading about some techniques that were common at the time, and that she thinks should be adapted, and that it wouldn't be forbidden technology. And she talks about her mother frequently and how frustrated she is that her mother is trying to chase a dream that has already been awoken from. And there's not a lot in there about her daughter. I mean, she's
like
mentioned.
she's mentioned, but not like she's a problem, or she
Right.
did this wonderful thing, or... Okay.
If there's any pattern that you see in the most recent stuff, it's griping about the grandmother's sort of her ideas as to what things should be, and how that doesn't fit the reality around them, and how if they want this place to ever grow, to ever be safe, then they're going to have to change.
Some old ways are good, some old ways are bad. You need to change with time.
So that's that. If you want to look for more specific things, or if there's certain keywords you're looking for, if there's other things that you're hoping for, then I would need a specific search for that. Especially as a researcher, that's got to be your forte.
Yes.
Which lore skills do you have?
My lore skill, the only one that I have is on the region of Calrune. So, not terribly applicable.
That's a bummer.
Yeah. I picked up Eldritch Researcher kind of as part of the whole introduction to the Mythos tomes and that whole...
Well, you don't have library lore or anything then, huh?
No, I don't.
That's a bummer. That'd be good stuff too.
Yeah.
Maybe that's one to pick up later.
Is there anything mentioned in the journal about places that the mother tended to visit, like locations outside of the village, out in the forest, along
So-
the beach.
Since we don't have a special lore skill here, there's a DC that I'm putting down, and I'd like you to give me a straight perception, because that's the best I got for you on this one.
Okay.
And Ira and Quai are doing what while we're getting that DC roll?
They're just looking around the house, really. Iris kind of feeling a little... kind of feeling a little similarity with her problems with her mother.
Yeah, I believe it. The one thing you're noticing, Felix, as you look through the book, she mentions spending a lot of time looking out the windows, and you can see her talking about being in the village or talking to different people, and she doesn't talk about going out of the village much. She mentions that she's given over taking care of the shrine to her daughter as much as possible, that she's been tending to the grandmother and spending time with the grandmother, and then needing time away and looking out the windows. And she likes the view from the west side of the house, and she likes she likes places where she can see sort of off of the edge of the village and out into like the horizon a little bit. She spends a lot of time looking out, and she gets kind of poetic in places, and there's like little bits and pieces that look poetic. And in fact, there's some similarities between the way the language looks here and at least a couple of the other books, so you get the feeling that some of the other books may be places where she writes her thoughts, but not necessarily the same kind of journal.
Okay.
So some of these things are written by her, and some of them are not. You can start to tell a little of her handwriting. So even when this is gone, you'll know which books she wrote.
Okay.
But honestly, this house is where she spends most of her time.
Okay. Well, I've got a few little tidbits. I'm kind of curious to see what the rest of the party has come up with, if anything.
The only other thing I'm going to point out, and we're getting close to that time limit now.
Okay.
The only other thing I'm going to point out is when Kia comes back, there's plenty of signs of wildlife. There are people clearly hunting, but they're not hunting in these woods around this place. This place seems to be left alone. So there's wildlife here, even though there was plenty of evidence in the lower woods that area is pretty avidly hunted in. So the woods behind the house and those up towards the edge of the mountainside, up to the tree line, seem to be left to their own ends. And Tira, you were looking around for like structure things. This section of house, there's a room for Miyuki, there's a room for her mother, there's a room for her grandmother, and there's a fourth room, and then there's the back door that leads out to the rear shrine, and that's it. So for people that are supposed to be kind of like lords or whatever else, this is a pretty simple place. But no one has given you any information about that last room at all.
A fourth room. Is that just a
Mhm.
visitor's room?
You could look if you want.
I'm gonna
And you
look.
can peek in on the grandmother too. If you haven't seen, Miyuki seems to have gone into her room. So you go and slide back the door over there.
Try to be quiet about it, though.
Okay. Give me a stealth.
Not so quiet.
It's not that bad, though. A 20 is a 20. If you're not listening, the 20 is passable. So the door slides back, and you see another room, and the room has a couple of rolled up mattresses, and it seems to be a spare room. There's only space enough for two in here. And there are some banners on the wall with the old writing, and there's a picture of like a red maple, but it's done in an artful style. It is a spare room, and that's it. But if you guys are going to stay the night, there's not enough room here.
Well, the street. Oh, there's 5 of us. So, unless there is another room that we don't know of.
True enough. But it may be that some people are going to be sleeping in the village or whatever. You don't know.
Okay, I'm going to slide that door right back.
Sounds good. There's no. It's all wood, and some of it's later wood, and then there's paper and the like. But the mechanism is very simple, but it works very well. So you guys have time to gather. If there's any last questions you wish to ask of her, otherwise we'll assume that when we close with an evening meal and then a chance perhaps to meet the grandmother.
All right.
I guess briefly I'll ask Miyuki if she's seen her mother frequently looking out that window to the west, just dreaming off in her own little world.
So you go over to her room and you tap on the door, and she slides back the door, and she nods, and you ask the question, and she looks out there, and she looks across at the door and the room open, and she frowns and says, "Why do you ask?"
Well, it may be a little insensitive of me, but we are looking for a missing person. I took a look through the books in her room and read through what looked like her most recent journal entries.
You can read our language. You are accomplished.
We're the archivists.
I see your reputation is well founded. So
Good to
she
know they have a reputation after 3 seasons.
Yep, there's a reputation.
I feel like largely it's assumed by the populace rather than actually an actual reputation, but...
Well, I think
there's
at
a
this
bit of a
point-
reputation that you've gathered over the past couple of seasons. Yeah.
If someone's going to take care of something weird, it's the archivists.
Indeed.
And usually they find really strange answers to things too, so that's assumed. All right.
And sometimes we accomplish it. Sometimes it takes us forever to figure it out.
That's true.
Or we don't complete it.
Sometimes you're like, well, we don't know.
And sometimes shit hits the fan.
So she looks to you, Felix, and she says, "So perhaps you already know more of her than I do. I have the reason I asked you here was to look into matters that others would ignore or feel were improper. So I will not fault you for reading her diary. I don't think I would feel comfortable reading it myself.
That's
It was
understandable.
definitely a good idea. It was definitely a good idea to read the diary, because if she left
kind of proud of
willingly,
that one.
there's probably something in there, some kind of clue in there as to why.
Yep. Well, you already got a lot of important clues. You guys have picked out a lot of nice details here. So, in that regard, I think you're on a very good heading. We have, I'll tell you right now, before I let you guys go and before we finish this session, there are some clear things that we have. We have a supper that she's going to hold, and a meeting as soon as the grandmother is eaten with the grandmother. And that's going to be an important conversation. After that, yeah, if you guys are going to try and bed down for the night or the like, obviously some people are going to stay here and some people can't. So you'll have to figure that piece out. And then any investigation that you guys feel you need to do. So you have many of the answers already in your hands. Now it's just going to be putting them together.
All right, let's see if we can.
Which we'll do next time, I guess.
Yeah, I think we should be able to finish it next time.
I'm definitely going to have to actually sit down and watch the stream before the next session.
Yeah. Possibly. So, I guess with that, I will make closing statements. Again, that's the end of our session today. We'll be back next time for part 2 of Stone of Contention, hosted by Bifrost. Thank you for hosting today, Bifrost.
Thank you.
And
Part 2 of 5.
and well, you never know. If you want to learn more about the setting of Mystimon Saga, you can check the link in the description below. And until next time, farewell.